So today, what we're going to do is we're going to go into a little bit different direction after we've talked about parallelism last week, and hopefully you'll use it and demonstrate that by in each paragraph applying that. Today, as we continue to talk about flat words are words that have been overly used actually, and they mean very little. For example, go, get, got. Those are some of the words. Or so. We use so often, so frequently, so little sometimes, or so much. So don't use so. Otherwise, um, it will not provide the freshness and quality that you're really looking for. Another word is just. Just because you use just doesn't make it right. Unless it's a just cause, then you can use it just for that. So you can see there's another flat word there. Also, here's another one, good. Invariably and inevitably, people will somehow get a good in there, the word good. What does good mean? Think about it in the difference between speech and writing. Writing, you have specificity. Okay, that's all you have. And order. That's it. Word order and word specificity. And maybe you could add diction to that. In speaking in language, in spoken language, you have much more than that on the word. You have what? Emphasis, volume, pitch, resonance, all those items that you have. I'll give you an example. If I say, that's good, that's really good, that's good, that's good, that's good. You see, the inflection, that word can have many meanings, and therefore it means little. Here's another word. He wrote, let's say, up, the word up. Never use up. Rolled the carpet up. Joe rolled the carpet up. Is that direction, function? What is being said there? What is the discussion? This could has four different meanings to it. Excuse me. Um, so that's a problem. So you want to be careful of that, those flat words. And there's probably 69 to 70 words that we use so often and so frequently that they just don't mean anything anymore. And we'll be talking about that more as we go along in any discussion. What kind of words are flat words? They're the ones that mean very little. You want to find a better word. Unfortunately, usually they're the bigger words. You're not trying to embellish or show that or be pedantic in the situation. You're just using a word that is more descriptive and more and it has greater specificity to the meaning that you're trying to express. That's what you're looking for. We'll be talking about that even more as we go along. Another item we have is how many times have you begun a sentence with the word this? This is. This is. Try to avoid using this is. You can write it, but then you go back and then you say, this what is. So include what this is. Okay? And that's the way you want to approach that. Another thing you want to do too is use transitional devices. What I'd like you to do, if you would like, rather, look up the transitional devices and see how many there are. And you can get a list anywhere from 60 to 100 words, such as nevertheless, whereas. On the other hand, increasingly, okay, you can find many of those transitional words. The reason why you have transitional words is you want to have a break in that thought as you write your paper. Otherwise, it's choppy. Choppy, what they mean by choppy, maybe you've been in school and they wrote choppy, you didn't really know what it meant. It means something like this. Joseph Joseph is a good student. He studies hard. He works in a such and such. He helps his family. He does this, all as different sentences. And that's the problem. He, and have the same words at the beginning of the first of the sentence. The first word is repeated every single sentence, maybe 3 or 4 times. By putting a transition in there, it makes all the difference in the world. It really does. So I would say if you want extra credit, if you submit that and you can give me at least 50 or 60 words, I would give you extra credit on your paper for that. Okay. And especially if you're using them in the writing, because it does make a difference. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about is what I call the rebuttal item. When you have a topic and you're writing about it, you're trying to express a point and get somebody to understand and accept whatever that point of view is. However, whatever it is, for whomever, you somebody else is going to think the other side, whatever it is. I think the sun should come out at 7 in the morning instead of 8 in the morning. Somebody will think other something else. That's normal. It's natural. What's key to that is that you have to consider what the other side is in anything. And you got to knock it off at the knees because you're trying to get your 3 points across. And the other person is waiting to hear something. It's like when you go to a lecture and they're talking in the lecture and it's 3 points they're going to talk about and it goes on, and you want to say something about the other side. Okay, and you got to wait for that. So you really lost interest in the first three. You're just waiting for where you get to express your point. So that's what they call cutting it off. Okay. Um, Given examples, you can say um, it's important to have fresh water. Is in all cases. Well, somebody's going to think, well, maybe not in all cases, fresh water. And you'd say, well, see, you have to attend to that to knock it down, okay? Because here's what the other person could do. They could say, well, we should have fresh water, but fresh water is not always good. Why is that the case? And they can give you an example of the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River, they have these factories up and down it, and these factories are creating better gasoline by adding corn. The corn to it obviously is a major factor. That's why corn is it's not as easy to get as it is for peas and whatever. So corn becomes extremely important. But these factories drop all this stuff into the water, and they, believe it or not, they purify the water. That's how good their system is. But why is it not so good? Because there are fish in the Mississippi River. And if you dump enough of that stuff in there and it purifies it, what happens? It destroys the algae. And the fish eat what? The algae. So therefore, if they keep dumping that into the Mississippi, we won't have any fish in about 10 years, at least in the Mississippi. So these are things you got to contend with. Always, no matter what your point is, there's going to be somebody else with another point. So you got to kick it out. That's how you do it. Another thing we'll talk about is uh, very briefly. Um, I know a lot of, by the way, a lot of papers do not use artificial intelligence, the AI. Don't do that. Be creative with your own. You have your own personality. You want to be yourself, okay? And don't do that. You could lose some points on that. I want to see what your writing is as you respond to these things, okay? The other thing is references. I recommend that you use some kind of references in anything you write. If somebody said it or whatever, and you get support for it. If you ask a friend of yours that you bought new shoes, you ask a friend, what do you think of my shoes? You ever notice some people go to more people to get a better and more times of how the shoes look or how they are, and until you feel get enough responses that you feel comfortable with that response. That's what it is. The other thing is um, paragraph length. Some students really have a problem with that. They can go on and on and on. It'll be a full page or a page and a half without any break. The the interesting thing in the studies that have been done, the eye cannot capture the essence of something that's written out so long. It can't keep up with it because it has to program it to have it systematically segmented to capture the thought better. So you want to be careful of that. Make sure you use essays in essays that your length is between 100 to 175 words. And that's all it should be. That's good enough. And then you move to the next point. Right? Um, that's paragraph length. And that's important. And also to indent on those paragraphs. You have to indent them. You have to. There's a functionality to the whole thing. Next, references. I don't expect you to come in with all these references and citations and all that, but you should at least try some of that for support. You could find something and then you can look up something about it. And while you're looking it up, and you find out somebody else has said something about it, then you can say a reference, Smith, and when the year was, 2017 or something, we found it. But that's it. So, without ado, as they say, um, that's good for today, and I will work and try to integrate that in your writing because your writing will improve with that, and I'll help you along the line as we go on. Because this class is also meant to improve your writing and to develop critical thinking, or increase the ability of that critical thinking, because that's what education is all about. Make your thinking better. So, with that, I'll close for today. I'm just submitting all these on announcements, so you can find them on announcements because they are recorded. All right. So we will see you next week at the same time, same place. We'll see you then. Okay. Bye bye.